Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel where we master Power Platform one step at a time. So now, have you ever clicked the button in Power Apps and boom, nothing happens? Or worse, it crashes silently and doesn't give you anything. Why? Today, I'm going to show you how to use IfError function the right way to handle errors like a pro and how error handling actually works in Power Apps. So let's get started. So as you can see, we are inside our PowerApps Studio, and continuing from my last video, I have the same application open with me, but with different buttons. So you can see I have two buttons on my screen. One is safe save and one is bad save. So in my last video, I showed you how you can patch different ways and what are the multiple ways to patch in Power Apps. We'll be using the batch patch approach from the previous one, and I'll show you the safe save and the bad save code as well. And I'll explain what's the difference and why does it matter you use if error in the correct way. So as you can see, this is the same patch which I showed you previously, right? So now you can see the patch function is wrapped inside if error function. And how if error works is basically it takes two arguments, right? So the first argument is your actual code. It can be a patch, it can be a Power Automate, it can be a Power Automate call basically, or it can be a submit form, it can be anything. So basically whatever you want to execute in Power Apps, right? So that will become your first parameter. That's the if error first parameter. Then the second parameter of if error is if the code which you're passing in the first parameter is not getting executed the way you want it to, and it's throwing any kind of error, right? So to tackle that error, right, if anything happens at the first parameter, what is the error message you want to display? That's the second parameter, and they both work in hand, like, right? So that for that this becomes your combination of first parameter inside if error, right? So that's if error parameters. You can pass n number of these combinations, right? Code fallback value, it's called fallback value. So basically if the code fails, what it needs to do, it needs to throw an error message, right? So it becomes a pair and you can pass n number of pairs inside if error. Now, first of all, let's see what a traditional or what is the generally accepted way of doing Power Apps coding, right? We have all seen this kind of execution of PowerFX, right? So first is my patch without if error, no notify, nothing. And then I'm basically running a flow, which is sending an email address to my personal one. So why this code is bad in terms of best practice of PowerFX? Now this code is bad because this code is getting executed in sequential manner. So for example, for whatever reason, if this code fails, the send email will still execute and you will still receive an email address, right? But ideally in 99.99 cases, what you want to do is you want to execute the send an email action once the patch submits successfully or the submit form submits successfully, right? That's the only scenario in which you want to execute the remaining steps in your PowerFX. In my example, send an email Power Automate flow, right? So I am deliberately commenting the name so that it throws me an error message. Okay, let's first see the best case scenario, right? So if let's say I submit testing automation, anything, doesn't matter budget, all right. So my bad, sorry. Yes, so let's see a automation clients SOW, right? So I added this, right? So now we have 3 records in our collection. Now a safe patch is what? So I deliberately commented the name, which is a required column in my backend, right? So this particular code will fail because it's expecting name value, but I'm not passing name. So this will fail, right? So this patch will fail. And as a result, this notify will be executed. And after that, I'll show you how the sequential code works and how IfError helps you break that sequential flow. I'll explain what sequential flow is and what does it actually mean and how it is not good for you. So first of all, let's click save. Right, so you can see addition of record failed, field CRF80 name is required. Now let's check the email address. Did I receive anything? No, I didn't receive anything. So let's go to studio and let's see the bad save button. Right, so now let me just comment this. Now this will fail, right? As expected, it should fail because it's expecting name, same code, but without if error. And still the send email will be executed. That's the sequential flow or sequential execution in PowerApps, right? So if you give any number of codes after the semicolon, it's sequential, right? So it executes one by one. It doesn't matter. Power Apps is not smart enough to automatically know that that's what you are trying to do, i.e., your patch should successfully execute first and then you should send the email notification. It's not smart enough to understand that, right? So even if your patch fails, your send email will still be executed. We will see it now. So let's hit the bad save. Yeah, you can see field name is required, right, as expected. But let's check the yeah, there we go. So you can see I still received the email. So this is the sequential execution. Now, where if error, you can see this is throwing me an error. Now, this sequential execution is a problem because you are expecting your code to perform certain actions first and then execute the next one, right? And if anything fails at the higher level, you should not execute the later ones. So to do that, to make PowerFX smart enough to understand that's what you are trying to do, if error comes into picture. So now, if error, the first parameter, this one, if this fails, it stops the execution there and then only, because it knows now that, okay, you are trying to first execute this, and upon successful completion of this parameter or this code, this second parameter should be executed. If this fails for whatever reason, I should not execute this parameter. So that's what sequential flow of execution is, and that's how you break it, by implementing error handling using if error function. So let me show you very quickly the correct example as well. So I removed the comment, and now you can see this should run as expected, and as a result I should be receiving that email, and the notify should be records added successfully and flow triggered. So let's click our save button. Great. So now you can see records added successfully and flow triggered. And let's check the, yeah, you can see testing. So I received it only after the 3 records got added to my backend successfully. So this is the error handling, and it is very important to understand the sequential flow of execution, because when we are starting out, we don't really understand that, okay, this is how Power Apps is treating your multiple patches of code, and it we don't understand that it is not smart enough to know it automatically, right? So that's why it's very crucial for us to implement if error to break that sequential execution. And also very important, which I forgot earlier, is to actually notify with a meaningful error message instead of just throwing field name is required, you can say something like addition of record failed, and then the error message. So yeah, just to explain this bit as well. So notify this, this is my message, and this first error.message is a property of IfError function itself. So as long as you are inside these two brackets, the opening and closing brackets, you can use first error.message, which basically holds the actual error message, which you receive after the execution of your code. Right. So after the execution of this, if I'm getting any kind of error message, that will be stored inside my first error.message. Right. So I am appending this into a more meaningful message, so that this message I can use to debug by looking at my user screenshot, and this message is to give a meaningful response to the front end user, whoever is using the application, that something failed, with a meaningful message. And this is for developers. You can use it by looking at the screenshot received by your end user to debug the code actually. Right. So these are the two very crucial things you need to understand when you are developing a Canvas application at a very early stage. So if error is very crucial, and you should understand the sequential flow and how to break it. So that is it for today. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thank you.